I'd like to call to order the June 20th, 2023 Board of Education regular meeting at 7:02 p.m. May I have a roll call?
Mr. Berardi?
Here.
Mrs. Stack? Here. Mrs. Lala? Here. Mrs. McPhillips? Here. Mrs. Theodore? Here. Mrs. Erbach Barnfield? Here. Mr. Trabuzio?
Here. Thank you. The quorum has been established. Please stand for the pledge.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Annie, will you read the mission statement?
Did you say Granny?
Yeah.
The mission of Norwich School District 80 is inspiring educational excellence and a nurturing environment.
Celebration of celebrate the success. Who would like to?
Congratulations to the graduating class over at Giles. Great job, and wish them the best as they go on to high school.
And similarly, just our, congratulations to our preschoolers, kindergartners, and fourth graders, because they all had their own milestone celebrations closing out this school year. So just want to wish them well.
Good, thank you.
And I would like to celebrate our administrative team and thank the team for this is our last board meeting of the 22-23 school year. So just thank Peter Masters for his first year with us. Much we're looking forward to growing and developing our program more, so thank you. Thank Christine Ahrens and Allison Carnell. Tomorrow is their last day until August. Thank you for all of your work on building relationships with students and making a difference in students' lives and helping them to be as successful as they can. Bob Biecki and Sean Raviola, want to thank you for being our instructional leaders in the district in your schools, and for looking at the data, for building our programs, and for continuing to encourage growth of not only with our team itself, with the teachers, with the staff, and with the students. I also want to thank Derek Sellers, who's not here this evening, for his dedication to our buildings. They've never been in such a great shape. We're just really looking forward to continuing to grow our buildings and be able to keep regular maintenance upkeep and major projects. Also to Kimmy DeVore, who is continuing to cover a position for us again tonight and never asks any questions about if she can be there or not. She's always there, always right where she needs to be, and always working hard to help our teachers, our staff to be successful, and everyone gets paid, which is great. And John Joe, who is not here also this evening, he is working on schedules right now for next year, Chromebooks. We have moved up to a data source called Branching Minds, which has been a lot of work for John, and want to thank him for all that he is doing for us. And we're really looking forward as we turn the page and close the books on 22-23. Looking forward to 23-24 and moving forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you to all present. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, action item. Consider approval of the agenda as modified with the modifications. Pulling action item 18A, 8, and little correction to 13B, which is to repurchase Chromebooks for third grade teachers and first grade students. Any discussion? I need a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
Motion.
Molly?
Mrs. Stack?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mrs. McPhillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Erbach Barnfield?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mrs. Theodore? Yes. Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes. Motion passes. Recognition of visitors. I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting. No, 8, correspondence, no correspondence this month. Public participation, no. FOIA request.
refer to them in the agenda since they're written out.
Yeah, the FOIA requests 10A, B, and C can be read at your leisure, you can find the agenda if you'd like to read them. Administrative reports 11. Superintendent, Mrs. Kusin.
Thank you. So a very exciting announcement to share with you tonight. We were awarded one of the spots in the school-based mental health grant, which West 40 applied for, and we applied for it as well, but we didn't get the full grant. However, we did get one social work position with working with West 40 for 5 years. So it's a $60,000 grant for the next 5 years. Tonight's agenda, we are hiring a person for that position, so it does state there that it's the school maintenance grant funded. And we're just really excited to receive this grant and be able to offer another social worker for our students. We are looking at that social worker being here at Lee and working mostly with our gen ed population. Typically, your social workers work with our special education population, people who qualify for social work services. However, we're looking at this person working with our gen ed population. So really excited about that. I also wanted to share with you that the Preschool for All grant has reopened. You may have followed some of what Governor Pritzker has been talking about with preschool and funding preschool. He put $75 million additional dollars into the state budget to open up 5,000 additional seats. I have submitted our grant to apply for 26 additional seats. So currently right now we have 34. 26 would bring us up to 60 seats that we would be able to offer to students free tuition. Right now we have 27 students that are in our 34 seats. However, we do also have 14 kids on our 12-month list, which means within the school year next year, they'll be coming out of early intervention, turning 3, so they'll be taking some of those seats as well. So if we can get additional seats, we would have 60 total. We do currently have a waiting list of 17 children. So we'd be able to start bringing in some more students. Tomorrow we have another screening. We will not have any screening in the month of July, and then we'll start screening back up in August.
Now, does the additional spots open up for the 23-24 school?
Correct.
Oh, that's great.
They're probably gonna let us know a little bit late in August, but great, we're super happy about that.
That's awesome.
So we're hoping that we get awarded. I think there's a good chance we'll get awarded the seats, but we don't know until we actually know.
How many total preschoolers signed up in this for?
Totally, right now, 45. We do have additional registration going on right now.
So if, let's just say we get the additional seats and we have less than 6 seats, right? Does everyone get the grant then, even if they don't qualify?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Our summer, just a little update on our summer staff plans. We've had a couple of our committees planned coming in right now, today, tomorrow, and last week for a couple days. We had our MTSS Academics Committee coming in and working with us. Last week, we were training on that branching lines that I mentioned to you, which is our data warehouse. So that allows us to, with a simple click of a button, be able to look at all of our students that are in Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. It also allows us to put in our Tier 2 and our Tier 3 intervention plans into the system, and for the teachers to be able to also put down all of what they're working with the students. So it's a really great new system. So we trained on that last week. The teachers will be providing PD to the whole staff when we come back in August. And then today they came in to kind of work on finalize the MTSS model and the handbook, and they're in tomorrow for the same goal. In July, our PBIS committee is coming in to work through our community grant that we have. That is going into the second year next year and making our plans for our community outreach and how we're going to work on our professional development within the district next year. Some summer building highlights. Our kindergarten and 4th grade classrooms are going through some changes. Starting very soon, once summer school is over, we're in the middle of summer school right now. We run summer school till the end of June. We've got 165 students signed up for summer school, which is about right where we usually have. In the classroom in the buildings, the kindergarten, fourth grade buildings, they're going to be looking at updated furniture, which is on the agenda tonight to the approval of. Updated intercom systems, lights, sinks, cabinets, they're being painted. So things that we have not done in these classrooms ever, we're updating. So very exciting summer plans there. We're also painting at Giles, the hallways and the lunchroom. We're landscaping at Giles, which I know was a big concern last year that people had, that the landscaping was not done at Giles. We're getting that done. Mulching and everything, very exciting. They've been doing a lot of weeding here at Lee. The flowers have certainly grown very lovely outside the front at Lee, and the flowers were actually purchased by PTA. I think it was about 2 years ago, but they really coming out now. The colors are pretty. And the preschool area is almost done. The floors are coming in next week. And tonight we have an action item for 2 of our newest projects. One is the bathrooms downstairs in the student lunchroom here at Lee. As you know, that is a safety issue with students coming up from the lunchroom, unsupervised up the stairs, down the hall. They have to turn down and go into a bathroom during their 20-minute lunch period. So we're hoping to move forward on the lunchroom bathrooms and moving forward on the small offices, conference rooms, and event bathrooms, which will happen in the current music room here at Lee. Music room will be relocated to a new spot. So those are both on the agenda for tonight. Let's get started with those right away. And that is my report. Thank you.
Mr. Bianchi? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Massey.
So just 2 quick pieces. One is that we actually started our extended school year program that goes concurrently with the summer school program. So it's been really great to have some of our students who require some of that continued support to maintain their IEP goals. So it's been really interesting to kind of hear some of the things that they've been working on. They've been studying the ocean, been building things, marshmallows and spaghetti. Have yet to figure out how that went, but very excited to hear that they're still continuing that learning so far. And the second thing is over the summer that I will be continuing to revise some of those procedures that Michelle had kind of alluded to earlier. One of the pieces is expanding the assistive technology process that we have here in the district, and then also kind of improving some of the efficiency for some of our existing processes. That concludes.
Over at Giles, again, I'd like to, our end of the year activities for the 8th graders went very well, so we were able to send them off to high school. I'd like to thank Ridgewood High School for once again allowing us to use their space for graduation. I have already filled out the required paperwork for next year. I'd like to congratulate 78 students from 5th through 8th grade that earned mastery honors for trimester 3. That means that they had mastery across all subject level, all subjects of trimester 3. And a letter went home to the parents acknowledging their outstanding achievement. I'd like to thank the PTA for purchasing new uniforms for boys softball, girls softball, and cheerleading. That means that we have new uniforms for cross country from last year that was purchased. And then the year before was boys and girls basketball. So we're doing very well on our timeline for new uniforms, our cycle. So then we'll be looking at in the future for volleyball and soccer. Currently, Mrs. Arians and I are working on planning the 23-24 school year. Things are going very well. End of July, early August, we plan on doing a mailing like we did last year to the house. With the back-to-school information, along with the students' schedules. We'll have a lot of information, a letter from Mrs. Arians, myself, flyers for our curriculum night, back-to-school night, also our conferences that will take place to save the date, so everyone is aware of that, and then the child's schedule. Let's see, our and boys and girls softball tryouts will take place in August. More information on tryout dates and times will be announced closer to the start of school. However, I would like to remind the community that if your child is interested in trying out for either boys softball or girls softball, they must have a current physical on file with the school nurse, and the student cannot try out without that physical. Reminder, physicals are good for 13 months. So just to make sure that they check the date of their physical and get that taken care of right away. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Dr. Romeo?
All right, and at Lee, we are also working on finalizing our plans for the start of next school year. And similarly, in late July, early August, we will actually be sending an email out to let parents know once homeroom teachers are assigned in Power School. It's a little bit different from the Giles procedure because they send out full schedules, whereas here at Lee, once the student knows who their homeroom teacher is, it's a little bit simpler here since they have one teacher. But we will send an email once that goes live, so you can log in and check that information. And then we have our back to school night planned for August 21st. I included a little snapshot of the flyer in the board packet. There will be curriculum presentations. I know this was something that we heard some feedback on earlier in the year about really wanting like a curriculum night. So we did make sure to have curriculum presentations as part of our back to school night. So you will see on that flyer that there are two sessions. One would start at 5:30, the other one would start at 6:15. So we are trying to encourage parents to come for those start times. So that way they can see the curriculum presentation as well as meeting the teacher, dropping supplies off and all that. But otherwise, I think that's kind of concludes things for tonight.
Thank you.
Just to add, our back to school nights are on 2 different nights so that parents that have children at multiple schools can attend both sessions or both schools.
I'm sorry, what was the Giles date?
The 22nd.
Mrs. Aaron's?
We have had one in-school suspension in violation of board policy 7:199 and 21.
You start out.
We had at least one out-of-school suspension in violation of board policy 7:199 and 2 in-school suspensions in violation of board policy 7:199.
12 board committees. Oh, 11E staffing updates.
We are doing well on staffing the buildings for the fall. We do have a couple of open positions. We have some paraprofessional, mostly on the special education side, paraprofessional positions. We are desperately looking for a school psychologist. Tonight you are being asked to accept our current Giles student's school psychologist. She is joining the Department of Defense and moving to Japan. So we are losing that position. So desperately looking for a psychologist. Please get the word out. We are looking for a self-contained SPED teacher. And EL, tonight we're asking you to approve a maternity leave, an FML leave for an EL teacher, so we'd be looking for that spot. And I was still looking for an administrative assistant for the district office. Other than that, we're moving along. Not gonna say we're sad, but we're moving along. Thank you.
Thank you. 12 board committees. A, education. B, board policy development. D, behavioral intervention. Those 3 are committees as a whole, nothing to report. C, building and grounds. Within the last 5 weeks, some board members, some of the newer board members, were able to attend tours of both schools for 2 different nights. Some community members joined us. They were led by Mrs. Guzik, and we basically traversed the whole schools, talked about past, present, future plans. Some of them are in the agenda tonight, which we're moving along with. Those went really well. E, negotiations and human resources. Nothing to report there. F, finance.
I do have the finance committee in my report tonight because I would like to schedule a finance committee meeting. So in my discussion point tonight is the information they'll find about finance.
Preferably in July.
Correct, in July.
G, communications, anything? Okay, H, Norwich Park District.
Nothing to report, but I'm assuming.
I'll have an update in the closed session.
Very good. 13, consent agenda. Consider approval of the consent agenda, and as stated, 13B had been changed or corrected. Any discussion? I need a motion to approve 13A through P.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call?
Mrs. McPhillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Erbach Bernfield?
Yes.
Mr. Birdy?
Yes.
Mrs. Theodore?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala? Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes. Motion passes. So the consent agenda passes. 14, action items. Consider approval, 14A is consider approval of resolution to transfer $400,000 from operations and maintenance fund into capital projects fund. Any discussion? I need a motion to approve item 14A.
Motion.
Maria?
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mr. Birdy?
Yes.
Mrs. Erbach Bernfield?
Yes.
Mrs. Theodore?
Yes.
Mrs. McPhillips?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes. 14A passes. 14B, consider motion to approve cafeteria restrooms and classroom conversion at Lee School. Any discussion? I need a motion to approve item 14B.
Motion.
Second.
Amanda Warren?
Mrs. McPhillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Erbach Bernfield?
Yes.
Mrs. Theodore?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala? Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Birdy?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes. 14B passes. 15, discussion items. Susie?
Thank you. So today, the first item that we have on the discussion agenda are field trips. And the board did receive 3 emails this week regarding field trips. So I want to give you a little background on field trips first. Prior to March of 2020, individual grades planned field trips. The funding was, at some points, PTA would give an amount of money for a bus. For example, prior, when I was teaching, they would say, we'll give you $250 for grade level for a bus. And then you can use that. If the bus costs more than that, then we would put the cost over to the families. Families would pay it. And then if there were any students who were receiving free or reduced lunch that were unable to pay for a school field trip, then the district had a small budget, $7,000 used towards field trips. I believe they also split the cost of the band field trip to Great America. Then in March 2020 through really last year, there weren't really a lot of field trips planned. There were a couple here and there, like the band still went to Great America, little things, but not much. In 22-23, the year that we are ending right now, we had some individual grade level planned trips. And I will turn to my second slide here that does list all of the trips that were planned. So Safety Town, which was all covered by the village, sorry, not the village covered that, but the village. There were walking trips to Norwich Park. The second grade went to the Irish American Heritage Center to see a play. The band went to Great America. The 7th grade went to the zoo and the Lincoln Park Zoo and to the Napier Settlement. There were author visits from Ridgewood High School. There's actually a couple other Ridgewood items too that are not on this list, but we have a lot of support from Ridgewood, which is great. Ridgewood came here for a STEM day with Lee School. They also come for several different things at Giles. The Angel Tree program, which is when in the late November, early December, where the Pride program collects money, the police bring coins money for the Angel Tree program through the Salvation Army. They went to the mall to purchase all of the gift cards and gifts. Ridgewood had the Power Fluid Challenge that our 8th graders attended. And then the 8th grade trip, which was the main event trip that they attended during the day. So the idea of going on field trips has come up a couple of times this year. So we have been planning for the 23-24 year to be looking at building level field trip procedures with which the principals have come up with, our procedures in that, and the building level field trip expectations. We do highly encourage field trips. There's never been a district mandate to say you can't go. I've never discussed field trips with anybody. No one's asked me about them, no one has discussed them. I believe it has come up at PTA a few times. So I know that's why Dr. Rabiola and Mr. Viecki have come up with procedures for it. We are looking for some additional funding. If that's something like PTA would like to do again and like give a certain dollar amount towards the bus on the trip, we certainly can. But the expectation would be that they're family funded and that we would put together a small district budget, again, based on need. So if a student couldn't afford a trip, we don't want a student to not attend. Grade levels would be working together to provide these enriching experiences, linking them to learning standards. So we won't just go on a trip to go on a trip, we'll go on a trip based on what it is they're working on or what learning standards they can extend based on going somewhere. The principals will meet with their grade level staff right at the beginning of the year to get a listing of those. We can share those with you. They won't all happen in the fall, but we can share the list with you in the fall on what grade level teams will be planning. So we don't want them all to do the same thing. We don't want them all going to the zoo or all going to the certain museum. So we want to make sure there's some variety so that the students have different experiences. Does the board have any questions about field trips or anything they would like to direct us to do for field trips?
I would just say I'd like to see you grow. And one of the highlights so far, being a parent of District 80, was joining my daughter at the Museum of Science and Industry before COVID. Because it reminded me of being in Union Ridge in the 80s when I was in grade school. By the time I graduated in grade Union Ridge, we'd see Nutcracker at Chicago Theater. We might have gone to the Field Museum, Museum of Science and Industry, once if not twice. So culturally, we have gold mine in Chicago, and I think we should, that alone warrants going to such museums. Art Institute, and a lot of times these places are free. We all know it's the bus cost. But with that, I feel pretty certain you can easily find the amount of parents chaperones you would need. So I just want us to continue working on this. Field trips are a huge deal for grade school. Just for the sake of even having fond memories of your grade school experience, culture. That's how I have to say that.
Do we have pre-COVID, I know you mentioned they were planned per grade level, but do we have any historic data if there were first grade always went to this place, or in third grade we got to XYZ. I know some schools have strong ties to things like that.
We really didn't have that every time fourth grade goes to the museum or anything like that. It really was a variety every year, and it could be something different every time. Is that something you'd like us to do? Have a grade level trip that's always planned?
I think that's always a nice rite of passage to look forward to. I personally moved schools between second and third grade, and so my mom and I, when I was an adult, went to go see the Nutcracker because I had pestered her for 20 years that I had missed doing that with my third grade class. And so I think they can really be rites of passage that students look forward to.
Sure. We used to, I'm sorry to ask a question here. We used to go to Springfield. We have not brought that back. Is that something you would like us to explore?
I was just going to say, I think
Seventh grade, I believe.
Is it seventh grade? How about eighth grade? Was it? Was there ever Washington DC or no?
Yep, we had Washington DC once that they went on a bus. The second year, which is, they didn't go because of COVID, was going to be flying. Very small amount of students were attending that because it was quite expensive with the flight. But we can look into going back to Springfield for 7th grade. I attended the 7th grade field trip with them as an administrator. And then I did not attend Springfield. I believe only the previous superintendent went to the one Springfield trip. I'm sorry, one Washington DC trip. But we can look into that if that's what you'd like. Springfield, I was there. It was great trip.
I mean, I think those are big. In 8th grade, that's what the kids remember, 8th grade to go to Washington DC. It would be nice to bring that back.
Yeah, no.
I mean, going back to the field, it's, to go to the Field Museum, the collection they have there is world renowned. So I'd imagine by the time you're in 5th grade, you're learning geography, mild anthropology, and stuff like that. It seems like around there is a good time, and it goes hand in hand with everything. Let's see how it wouldn't.
I'm sure many things were at the field.
A lot of the Chicago, I think all of the Chicago museums offer like overnights too at the museum if we're wanting something like a DC type, Springfield type for some of the older students. That might be a more affordable way to scratch that itch, if you will.
I would say, I think prior to coming to Lee, my daughter was at a school where the field trip fees were always passed on to us. So looking at what buses charge and everything else, you know, and given that so many of these museums offer free entry, I don't think it's gonna be a crazy cost passed on to the parents.
And we do try to keep them affordable. We do look at that. When we plan the ones this year, Mr. Bianchi and I did talk about how we can keep them affordable.
What are our typical bus rates that we pay?
So if you go on my slide up there, you can see when they went to the American Heritage Center, they paid $855 for the bus.
And that's for how many hours?
My guess would be 3 hours. 3 hours? And they pay about $295 an hour. I know for $285 an hour for our sports, I think they give us that same kind of charges us that same amount for buses.
And
So
we
just
have
not finding
is
places.
that like the standard?
Yes, we had a very difficult time finding a bus company, many of them closed during COVID. So we were very lucky to find Conference. A&B's that we used to use, they closed.
And how many kids do the buses usually fit?
70, I think, 68, 70 kids we should fit in a bus.
At the middle school, it's about 44.
I'm just going off what it says inside the bus.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's between a seat when you do that. Anything else? Okay, great. So we'll continue. I'll work with the administrators and we'll bring you some more information in July. I wanted to stop in the month of June and just talk a little bit about the enrichment program. This is the program that we offer through the CURES grant. The CURES grant started actually in the spring of 22. We had some programs first start at Lee, and then we added Giles for the second session. In 22-23, we offered several different options, but as you recall, we really didn't get a big pull at Giles. We did meet with Evan Clayton to try to come up with some plans for the 23-24 school year in order to hopefully get some more enrollment. So I'm just sharing with you today that we're meeting with Evan, I believe it's tomorrow actually. We are looking at planning 4 sessions for the year with improved timelines. I think one of the things that we learned was we had too quick of a timeline. We would send out the flyer to parents and then the very next week the class started. So we need to be more responsive to the parents on sending those out. We also will be sending out interest surveys for the students and the teachers. It's not necessary that our teachers teach them all. They often have outside teachers, but it's also nice if our teachers do teach them because they do already know many of the students and have relationships, so let's look at our teachers and see what kind of, interests and skills they have for some different classes that can be offered. We're going to be separating the 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th grade for different opportunities, because a 5th grade student and an 8th grade student are very different, even as far as skills for sports, or even just with hanging out together. We're going to have improved communication. Our teachers are going to be talking about the classes and really encouraging our students to be involved. We're going to add some one-time activities at Giles. For example, the last Friday of the month will be basketball day. We'll have an open gym. The parents can come in, the kids can come in for $5, have pizza and play and have those one-time activities. We haven't at this point charged anything. So if you recall last year, we had the flyer made with what the amount the class would cost for the 6 weeks, and then we put a little red line through it. I am recommending that next year that we start to charge $25 per session. We keep talking about this funding cliff that's going to happen. After all the ESSER funds, the CURES grant, after all those funds are not available for us anymore. So I think $25 isn't that large for families, but I think it's something to start getting them into the idea that they have to pay something for it. It's kind of like our summer school program where we have to pay something for it. And then we would go into the 24-25 school year having to charge families. What's really important to us is that we keep this going. We don't want to just have it during these 2 years where it is a free program. Anne-Marie at the park and I have been working very hard on trying to put together plans that we can continue growing this program and continue offering these opportunities for our students. So I'm recommending, today we're not voting on it, but I am recommending at our next meeting that we put a $25 price. We'll still share with the parents how much the class would cost, so we can share what their cost is, what the district's cost is. And then that can help them also understand when we get to the 24-25 school year that funding will no longer be.
That's a suggestion. I know $25. My opinion is you look at the programs we're doing now and the cost of it. To charge $25 across the board, I think you should, 25 is where it's reasonable, and then let's say a class costs more on the sheet, maybe do 35. We have to find the sweet spot of what people are willing to pay. I understand like a gym, more kids, less cost, but these special classes, I think you should charge a little bit more because we're really gonna find out if parents are willing to pay and what that sweet spot is. So if you see people paying 40 and then we get to the $50 mark, nobody signs up, and historically there was people signing up. We know that we have to look at programs that are within a range.
Okay.
I think we should start that now, rather than doing 25 across the board, but, wherever those classes cost more, we should charge a little more. I'm not saying the full charge, but that's just my opinion, because I think our goal is to find out what the sweet spot is of what parents are willing to pay.
So we could do a percent. So if let's say a class costs $70, we can cover maybe 80% of it and families cover 20% of it, or we can cover 70%, families cover 30%. I mean, there's lots of ways we can look at that. The ones that are more expensive are the science STEAM classes, STEM classes, where they have robotics, where they have the kits. So those would be the ones that would cost more for a family. But we can look at a percent instead of a dollar amount.
Yeah, this is my opinion, because like I said, we just have to find that sweet spot.
70-30 might be too low at this point. Or
What's your lowest cost? What's the lowest cost?
I believe $70 is the lowest cost for a class. So if you look at $70 minus 30%, $49 would be the district's cover, and 21 would be families.
Yeah.
With a 30-70 split.
I mean, that's just I don't know where everyone stands on
I
that.
agree with the percentage.
Okay, we can talk about that and bring that to you next month. Our next item is the threat assessment opportunity. West 40 has opened up a new area in their area of support that is looks at threat assessment plans. Last year, we were required to turn into the state our threat assessment plan. We met with the Norwich and the Howard Heights Police Departments, created the plan along with our admin team, and turned that into West 40. Everything was great. We also had a situation this year where we had a threat that we all know about. So looking back on it, we always have to look at, can we improve how we dealt with that? Can we improve our plan? Would it be wise for us to have a different set of eyes look at it? So West 40 has a new group that look through threat assessment plans and give advice on what you can change. We work with staff on identifying warning plans for threats. They look at school and student safety. They look for emergency protocols. They create emergency protocols with you. And they basically just assist the school with safety-related investigations. That is something we'd like to work on starting this summer and then carrying into the fall with the administrative staff and our mental health professionals. So just want to give you an update on that. Certainly we'll be talking more about that as we go forward. I feel that the work we did this year was on target and right, and we worked with the Norwich Police Department. However, we can always improve, and we should have different eyes to think about how we can improve our plan. Next on the agenda is the Finance Committee. So I have a couple of dates on here. Our plan is, especially for those of you that are new, is to have a meeting in July for the Finance Committee, and we would like to invite the whole board to it, because there are some new board members, and I think it would be nice to hear how finances work in a school, what the different funds are, where the finances, where we get money from, what our expenditures are, what our revenue is, and just have a whole little, boot camp on finances. We would then be looking at the 22-23 finances and how we're ending the year. We'd also start to talk about the 23-24 budget. I'll go over those dates in a moment. In August then, at the board meeting, we would bring a tentative budget to the regular board meeting. And then September, we would look at the final budget. We do have a couple of dates. If we could possibly get a date for the Finance Committee tonight, that would be great. We've gone through some dates with Kimmy and with Craig, and these are dates that they're both available. And those are the 7th of July, the 10th of July, the 25th, or the 28th. I'm not sure exactly how to do that. If people have maybe an interest and they know they want to attend, maybe they can tell us a date that doesn't work. If they have a date that doesn't work, or I know officially, I think it's just Mrs. Deck who is on the committee. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you on it also, Mrs. Lewis?
So July 7th is a Friday, right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, Friday night's gonna be super fun here.
7 for sure on the count, so I won't be here, but looking at me, if it matters, 10, or any other date works for me, besides the 7.
I like the 7th. It's Monday.
Do you feel a big strong interest to attend? I don't mean to say that.
Well, she knows how this.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'll go get it.
And if you're not coming, we'll update you at the August meeting. We could do it at the July meeting then. July 10th? Works for everyone? What time would you like to begin?
I think everyone okay with the 10th, or?
Yeah, they.
6:30 or 6?
It does not matter.
Really, better at 6.
Better at 6.
I mean.
Does everyone make it at 6? Is that okay? All right. Thank you so much. This is really great that you can plan us. So I'll send that out July 10th at 6 p.m.
So are we actively pursuing new members?
That's
Because
a great question.
we have had, it's been dwindling numbers.
Yeah. No, it's a great question. What would the board like to do with that? With committees? We have a small group of people that sometimes come, sometimes don't come for various committees. Because we have people that are on communications, we have people that are on finance, we have people that are on, buildings and grounds. I believe are the three committees that we have outside people. But they don't always attend.
I mean, we should just reach out to whoever has signed up and say, hey, we're looking at reorganizing, are you still interested? If they say yes, then, some might just say, you know what, I thought I was gonna be able, then we can fill those spots accordingly.
Okay, we can do that.
Just give them an opportunity to see if they're still interested.
So we need another board member for the finance too?
I don't think you
There's
have
nothing
anything
written that
that's
says each committee has to.
Unless someone.
I mean, my personal view, spending years, outside of the is committees, to a certain degree, I like the idea of committees holding a level. That meaning, you could have a lead person, but all 10 to 10. And as far as community members, rarely does a committee repeatedly see the same people.
There are a couple of people that attend. There are two people
I know.
I have in my mind that
True.
attend everything that we invite them.
So maybe like along the lines of what Renzo was saying, invite all the ones that are currently members, and then and then just how to announce it to general public.
Do you want me to invite, or do you want me to reach out as Mr. Vardy had suggested, asking them if they want to continue being part of the committee first?
I don't know.
The hard part is, I'm sure you probably get more committee members showing up to the building and grounds because you meet more frequently. I think what happens is in some of these committees that you don't have to meet, it just time goes and they just, forget they're even on it and they just lose interest. That's the challenge. I mean, I know finance, it's not like you're meeting every month, but
Right.
when you do meet, it's just like, they lose interest right away. So I would just start to say, hey, maybe if it's for sure it's quarterly, I'm assuming, right? That finance or not
And this, I don't
necessarily.
think the finance committee has met.
It depends what's going on. When like the budget's going on, we do meet in August before the August meeting. We did meet in September before the September meeting.
When we pass the bond, we met very often.
Right.
So it depends on what's going on.
And the levy is we meet before that meeting.
So on a regular year with nothing special twice in the year for finance.
July and then December.
Buildings and grounds could meet a little more often.
Right.
Communication hasn't met in a while.
That's good.
No.
The challenge that we have though is if we're actively looking for new numbers, school is now out, so how do you get that word out? Not just for finance.
Sure, well, we would blast anything out to families. They would have to open it and read it, the email, but that's how we would do it even if the kids were here. We don't send paper really anymore. We find it all over the floor when we send it. Yeah. So we would blast something out. So it sounds like I should first take inventory of how many people we have and who's interested, and then we can kind of go from there on how we want to open up other spots. Does that seem reasonable?
I think we had much more participation, even before the bond though. I think it was before the ESSER funds really didn't come to fruition. There was a lot more interest. Now people are saying, hey, we're not on the cusp that we were financially, right? So I really need to help that. I don't know. I think it's not fun for everyone.
I guess, when you look at the committees, and obviously, what are we looking for with the community, right? Are we looking to reach out to people who have background in finance that can help, how much help can they provide? Is it something, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we looking for in the community to help with? Is it background that, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we looking for? It's just to double check that we're doing the right thing? Is it, hey, we want to get a committee that, this person has a background in this and that, and they can help us create the budget? How much involvement do they have? That's one thing.
Not really a lot. I think
Right.
that was one of the things that honestly some of the finance people were confused about what their role is.
Sure.
So I can report to them what our finances look like. We can report to them on where we're moving in the future, but they really don't have the level of oh, let's put $5,000 here, not there, you know, that's.
Right, that's my point, is that, you
So
know,
a background in finance isn't really necessary.
Sure.
Although it doesn't help.
Diversification, because whether everybody realizes or not, everyone has budget, because you manage a household. So depends on how you look at what budget is too. But I think to Lorenzo's point, I think we should open it up to whomever. Even if they have no, look, I have no children in the school, but I have a vested interest in this community, and I also have a finance director, right? So we're talking money, talk. So I think you're right. Maybe you do say, you know, what do you guys want to see different that isn't happening today? And take those and see if we can fund that without, you know, dipping into our savings.
There's also an aspect of transparency in all of this too, and that's one of the things that a lot of these committees should be doing, is providing that transparency and a deeper look into what are the district's finances, why aren't we doing X, Y, Z? And it's kind of opening the books and saying, here it is, you know, this is what we have to play with, so.
yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
Well, tying in with Mom and family, saying, you look at 5 years ago, you had a lot more people coming because they wanted to find some information, something was money squandered, what went wrong, and as soon as things start getting smoother, people say, okay, why come to, but my interest in committees has always been, or what I'd like to see as the consequence of keeping going is transparency of getting information out. And if you have even 5 people attend a community who pay attention and hear what you present, and they get it out to even some people, that helps make a difference. Just to get information out as best as you can. Naturally, we all want more people to attend.
My thing is, when you look at the committees, finance, small group, that doesn't really matter. Communications, you want anybody, because you want to spread the word, right? More network, so communication, whoever wants to get on it. If we have 30 community members, 50, it's better because, you know, we're trying to get the word out. So the more the better. You know, the finance, do we need, it becomes, you know, I don't think there's any benefit to that. But communication, I would put it out there, reach out to the current and anyone else who wants to get involved, because that's a key committee to get the word out.
That reminds me, any of the committees, if you go to any meeting, when you're at a finance committee, you're talking about building the grounds also. You're not talking about it because you want to build the ground. When you're at a communications meeting, you're pretty much talking about all the other committees, because building grounds news is community news. Finance news is something to be communicated. So they all crisscross, but we do have a point. You do especially want people with communication, because you can essentially talk about everything else there.
I mean, if we do not a job description, but like, hey, you want to be part of the finance committee? You know, we're looking for help and, you know, or whatever. Then someone might say, oh yeah, that's fitting. I don't want to waste my time either. You know, maybe like you said, they expected something different, where they're going to be saying move 5,000 here, and really that's not it. And that's why they're like, why do they need me kind of deal? But if you put together some type of description of what we're looking for and what the responsibilities are, or, you know, maybe you can wean out the people that are just maybe not looking for that, or fit for them.
Yeah, I can work on that, and I'll do an inventory of who wants to stay, so we have some idea.
Yeah.
On it. Thank you, that's good. Good conversation. I thought it was a good time, since we're in the last month of the 22-23 school year, just to remind everyone of our strategic plan. And I outlined here, if you recall, we met, I want to say it was February of last year, of this past school year, and created a district plan with 4 goals. Our first goal was a financial goal to make fiscally responsible student-centered decisions regarding finances and allocate resources to ensure excellence. And our second goal was by the 24-25 school year, all kindergarten will receive an equal number of instructional minutes for ELA and math. I know that's something we're still working towards, we're not quite there yet. That goal actually might get changed by legislation, which we'll talk about in a moment. Our next goal was a facilities goal, was to provide safe, secure, and well-maintained facilities that support 21st century programs and promote learning. And then our last goal was more on the planning side, which is very important in order to have good instruction. And this was by school year 25-26, we'll provide teachers with individual prep time while providing space and time for collaborative meetings to meet the needs of the students in which we serve, which actually I believe that we have that now. The teachers do have individual plan time and they do have morning collaboration meetings, and our early release Wednesdays have helped us to meet that goal as well. I don't need a definite plan at this moment, but I think we should discuss where we want to go with our strategic plan, if we want to renew these goals, if we want to get back together and have new goals, look at our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats, and see where we can grow as a district, or if we want to keep that, maybe look at that in the fall, maybe look at that in the winter. I'm not sure where the board would like us to go on. I think that all 4 of these goals have made a lot of progress towards them. I think the fiscally responsible student-centered decisions, we are always thinking about our finances and always looking at our fund balances to make sure that they are meeting the policies, which we are, and assuring that we're using our resources towards student-centered decisions, which I believe we are. Kindergarten, as I stated, we'll talk a little bit about, but then also our buildings and maintaining and updating our buildings to support programs I believe we're also working towards. Yeah, sure.
If you could email all of the board the district strategic plan as it was completed last February, and then we all have a copy of it and review at your leisure, and then you insert it monthly into discussion items. Whether or not something specific is brought up, we have a month to review it, and then in July it comes up, someone has something to say, we can talk about it, or if you have something to say about it, we can just keep touching on it. This is going to take regular, you have to revisit it constantly for continuous improvement.
Sure. I have a presentation that has the whole plan. I have it up there now, but I can definitely email this out to all board members, and you can see the goals are non-negotiables in creating this, and then what our action plans were with each of the goals. So I can share that with all of you. And then we can always talk about how we're meeting those within our agenda.
Sure.
Thank you. The joint conference, just sharing with you that on November 17th and November 19th, we talked a little bit about this already, but we are at the point now where we'd like to know if people are planning to attend. We would like to register everyone together as a group, and registration is currently open. So just as a reminder, the joint conference is the Illinois Association of School Administrators, which is IASA, the Illinois Association of School Boards, which is IASB, and the Illinois Association of School Business Officials, which is IASBO. So often called the Triple I Conference because of all 3 of those beginning with Illinois, but they do refer to it as the Joint Conference. It is in several hotels downtown. Most of those hotels are all attached to, we can walk outside of the attachment tunnels. It's a very large conference that happens. I have attended it the last 2 years. So if you can think about if you'd like to attend, and then maybe let us know by like July 10th, and then we can get together our registration. Kimmy and I are planning to attend next year, so we'd love to have any board members that'd like to join us. If you go out into your IASB site, you can see all the information about the conference. small little breakout sessions. I believe the first day, which I've actually never gone to, is a longer, you can, do a whole board member day, things like that, longer day, and then the other days are little breakout sessions, maybe an hour long. So if you would be interested in learning more about finance, or you want to learn more about how other districts are working with their communication group, or things like that. It really is a conference for all three levels, the board, the administrators, the business officials, everybody. The next area, I just wanted to give you a little heads up. As we're looking towards lunch supervision and schedules for next year, we may come to the board later and request hiring lunchroom and recess support individuals. Currently what happens is our teachers and our paraprofessionals supervise lunchroom and recess. However, with looking at some of our schedules for next year and our WIN groups that are happening, which is our When I Need intervention groups, some of the teacher availability and the times that we need them does not match. So we might need a teacher during first and second grade lunch, and really only the third and fourth grade teachers are available. So that would match on what we need. And also our paraprofessionals who typically work lunch are supporting student academic and functional needs during that time. So I'm not suggesting it right now, but just mentioning it as a discussion item that it may come up on the agenda next month, and we want to look at that. We pay that the same amount we pay now, so it wouldn't really be an increase, but it would be different people we'd have to bring in, we'd have to train, and to make sure that they follow our expectations for the lunchroom and recess.
How many hours is it?
It depends on each school. Giles would probably just be an hour, Lee would be an hour and a half. Giles pushes lunch into an hour, 2 30-minute blocks, Lee's a little longer. And it depends on the person does all of them. It's nice to have consistency at lunch, so that you have the same person out there with the same group of kids, and everyone knows the rules, everyone follows the rules, everyone understands what they expect. So I don't have a definite on that, but just want to bring that up as a discussion item. The legislative update, a couple of things I want to mention to you. I believe I sent you information already about the governor, and I think he may have signed that bill today, but I haven't been able to find that anywhere. Did he sign it? Yeah. I think he signed it today. So the full-day kindergarten bill, which means by 27-28 school districts are required to have full-day kindergarten. So we now need to go into a big study on affording this, since we would no longer be able to be tuition-based. And also the Illinois is doing a study during the 23-24 school year on, they're sending out different surveys for us to complete on what the impact is for the district. I believe that there is not funding with it at this time, but they are doing this survey and looking at districts to see if funding would be needed. We do bring in a lot of money on tuition, so we're going to have to really look at how we're going to shift that responsibility back into the district. I think we would all agree full-day kindergarten is wonderful and great. I think I shared with you before, we began the program in '94 in the district. So that is something that we believe in. It's just a funding avenue that we need to secure.
Roughly what tuition we get in that we would have to offset it?
So currently, right now, I'm going to do some math, I'm sorry. We charge $2,600 for this school year for full-day tuition. You may have the numbers more sharp than I do. And we had about 80 students, so about $200,000. In the past, it's varied. Sometimes we have 100 students that are full-day, and now we're looking at $260,000. It's going to have a big impact on our budget. There is an option, I believe, if you signed the bill that I read, which I believe you did, of putting it off for 2 years if districts can't afford it. I'm not suggesting that, I'm just saying there is that option. There may be some money coming through as well, so we'll have to continue to work with our state representatives to hope that this won't be a big impact on our budget. Also,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The 27-28 school year, you guys went?
Correct.
Okay.
And you said there is not like a
deadline in place as to when we would know if that comes with funding from the state.
What they're saying right now is they're gonna do a big study in 23-24, and that they should have some information about that at that point. Right now, the big signing of the bill, doesn't have any funding, but that has been pushed back from the state. However, the Senate passed it, the House passed it, and it landed on the governor's desk, which I kind of heard a little blurb, and I couldn't find an actual story.
I
about
find
it.
it, but it's like the one
It's a little
article,
blurb.
it's a little thing, it's not like a regular.
So we'll continue to work on this and work with our legislators.
We've collected a little over, 180,000 to date this school year in kindergarten tuition.
And, yeah.
I also wanted to share with you one of the other, the governor has been signing a lot of bills, and a lot of them that are affecting education. So a couple of things to share with you. He did sign a bill that prevents school districts, or public libraries actually, of banning any books. So it's just something, this isn't an issue for us typically, but just something I want to share with you. That they claim that you can lose state funding if a district does a formal ban of a book, or types of books, or author, or things like that. So that is something that is a little bit controversial in the state right now, depending on what part of the state that you're in. So we'll kind of see how that plays out for the next school year.
But you said right now it doesn't apply to us because we're not,
We don't have any books banned,
okay.
but many public libraries have been asked to ban books. We get FOIAs every once in a while that might ask for a particular book or a particular series of books that we might have.
So, do we get state funding for books now?
Correct.
For letters? Okay, and you can lose that funding, that's just specific funding?
No, I think all state funding, which
All
we don't
state
get.
funding.
Has this come up with our district in the past?
It has not. No, but it's just something new that I'm sharing with you.
Yeah.
But I believe 40 districts in the state of Illinois have had issues with banning books. Another thing to share with you may have heard about is Faith's Law. Faith's Law had two parts to Faith's Law. The first part, which went into effect mid-year last year, and that was about grooming. We talked a lot about grooming on the board level, and we had to provide education to our staff about grooming. Grooming meaning that you have a teacher that maybe starts an inappropriate relationship with a student that continues even for many years until it becomes perhaps a sexual misconduct relationship. We put into place the first step of Faith's Law. Now July 1st is the second step of Faith's Law. And that is employment history review for everyone who's hired in the district after July 1st. So if, for example, we hire a new second grade teacher after July 1st, we then have to go back to every position that that person held that had a contact with students, children. They were a nanny, they worked at a daycare, they worked at a school. We have to then go back and do our due diligence to have that person who was in charge of them, who is their HR department, complete a work history review and verify that they have never been accused of or committed as sexual misconduct. Now, it's great. We don't want to hire anyone that's committed sexual misconduct. Certainly, what we've seen in our profession and in many other professions in the States is people have not always been as forthcoming in sharing that. People move or get transferred to a different spot, a new school, a new place. So that's the reason for the law. So we don't disagree with what it is. It just puts a higher burden on our HR department to go back and contact and do their due diligence to contact. Someone could have 15 different places they work, to go back and contact all of them to find out if there's any sexual misconduct or any accused of any sexual misconduct. Again, we only want what's safe for our students. It's just we have to understand the burden that puts on our HR positions. We'll see how it goes. We haven't started it yet. We do have procedures in place. We have a form that has to be filled out. We could look at a service that would do this for us as well. We're not suggesting that at this point. But just know there is something out there if that becomes, we have a very small district office, where we wear a lot of different hats. So if that becomes something that we feel we need to bring forward to look at a service, we will. However, we're not at the point asking for that right now. And just the future updates that I'm hearing are coming out, some changes to wellness policies in the fall are supposed to be coming from the state, that the governor is also signing. I don't know all the details of it yet, but there's a big buzz about it around, in the education world, and some Title IX changes. Title IX changes, are typically, you think of them as, well, if you offer this many sports for girls, you have to offer this many sports for boys. That's typically when you think of a Title IX, but all of the sexual misconduct stuff is in Title IX. So if somebody is accused of inappropriately with a student or something like that, that's all Title IX related. So that changed a few years ago, and we have to identify Title IX positions. So I believe that's going to be more changing for that and putting on maybe another layer to our administrative team on Title IX. So we don't know much about that yet, but that has been pushed off to October. That was supposed to come out in July, and they pushed it off to October. So just want to share with you some of those legislative updates that I'm hearing about. I think it's good for you to know them too. And finally, on a happy note, the 75th anniversary celebration of Norwich, which I think I have mentioned to you before when we approved the purchase of the banner, that 75th anniversary banner, which is right on Lawrence, right at Lawrence and Portland. It's hard to see, but that is ours. Has our name on it. It's there. The village is planning a 4-day festival from August 24th to August 27th it's a carnival actually, on the land that was former Divine Savior Church. And on August 26th, there is a parade that starts at 11 a.m. It's very close actually here. They're starting up here in Lawrence and Thatcher. They're going down to Montrose, then moving down to Montrose to Oquito, kind of ending somewhere in that area. We have been invited to participate, and I have let the village know that we would have a car that is representing the district. Mr. Tribuzio is working on who's going to be in that. So if anyone is like, I really want to be in that car, I'm sure you can all get in the car, or whoever would like to be in it together, and sing some songs and be in the parade. Should be a fun event. Yeah, it's a 4-day carnival event. I've been in one planning meeting of it so far. It has a lot involved.
Is there throwing candy at the parade?
Probably not.
I'm so excited.
Say about the parade. You got one there.
I wanted to ask that.
You will be driving. Thank you very much. No, I don't think they're going to be throwing candy. There's danger with candy now. And that is everything on my discussion items.
Thank you. Board comments. Anyone? 17, closed session. Consider motion to adjourn to closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired, and collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more class of employees. Any discussion? I need a motion to approve 17. Any?
Second.
These are the first one. The first two I thought. Fanny.
Mrs. Theodore?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mrs. Herbert Fernfield?
Yes.
Mrs. McPhillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Mr. Burry?
Yes.
Mr. Tribuzio?
Yes. All right, we will go to closed session at, it's 8:17 right now, at 8:30 here, we're at 10:50 p.m. Roll call.
Mr. Guerrero.
Here.
Mrs. Deck. Here. Mrs. Lala. Here. Mrs. McPhillips. Oh, here. Mrs. Theodore. Here. Mrs. Urbach Fairfield. Mr. Trabuzio.
Okay, 18, personnel action items. 18A1, consider motion to approve 2023-2024 Director of Fiscal Services / Chief School Business Official Contract for Kimberly DeVore. 18A2, consider motion to approve Peter Ross, 6th grade special co-teacher, lane 4, step 2. 18A3, consider motion to approve Antonetta Alangi, 3rd grade special education co-teacher, lane 3, step 7. 18A4, consider motion to approve Betsy Hurster, lead social worker, lane 5, step 3. 18A5, consider motion to approve Marcy Matthews, lead speech and language pathologist, lane 3, step 4. 18A6, consider motion to approve Rebecca DeZono, 4th grade teacher, lane 1, step 5. 18A7, consider motion to approve Timothy Larkin, 2nd, Lee School Social Worker, lane 3, step 2, school-based mental health grant funded. 18A9, consider motion to approve an amendment to administrators' contracts to provide $250 into a flexible spending account. 18A10, consider motion to approve a contract with SBM Pros LLC for consulting services for the 2023-2024 school year. 18A11, consider a motion to approve administrative assistance compensation for 2023-2024 with a 5% increase. 18B1, consider motion to accept the resignation of Clarabelle Guerrero, district paraprofessional. 18B2, consider motion to accept the resignation of Tanya Santana, district paraprofessional. 18B3, consider motion to accept the resignation of Brittany Tian, Giles School psychologist. 18B4, consider motion to accept the resignation of Karen Maloney, district physical therapist. 18D1, consider motion to approve FMLA leave for Mark Evanishin for 12 weeks. Any discussion on any of those motions? Actually, that was the one that was. Any discussion on that was 18A1 through 18A11, then 18B1 through 18B for D1. Discussion? Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Laura and Amanda, we have a roll call.
Mrs. Urbach Fairfield.
Yes.
Mrs. McPhillips.
Yes.
Mrs. Theodore.
Yes.
Mr. Guerrero.
Yes.
Mrs. Lala. Yes. Mrs. Deck.
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio.
Yes. All the motions passed. That was 18A1 through 18A11, 18B1 through B4, and 18D1. Now time for 19 board meeting reflection. Okay. 20. I need a motion to adjourn at 10:55. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
You do need I'm sorry, but you need a motion there also. You need a
Motion.
first and a second.
Second.
Yep. Dan and I.
What now?
You're good.
Two more.